Can you dig the digits?
It's another Wildcard Wednesday.
Is it going to be wild?
We'll see. Thanks everyone for tuning back to the channel. We do appreciate it. That's Vic. I'm Carl. Here for another Wildcard Wednesday. There seems to be a lot to talk about now.
There is. It's kind of exciting.
Yeah, we talked about it the other day. This is a good transition time. So thanks everyone for tuning into the channel. Before we start tonight, thoughts and prayers to all the people in Florida with all the craziness that's going on down there. If you happen to have family or friends that are down there in Florida, we hope you guys are safe. They're safe. We're hoping for their safety with all the craziness and everything that's going on down there. So thoughts and prayers out to those guys before we get started tonight. How's it going, Vic? I haven't talked to you in a couple of days. So how's it going?
Yeah, I don't know. Who are you?
I am the star of the show.
That's right. I kind of forgot about that. So
otherwise known as the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
That is true, man. All right, so a lot going on.
Where do you want to start?
Let's start with Bears.
All right.
Or maybe we should start with something first different, since there's only one person watching us. Let's start with Bears. Let's start with Bears. Okay. So anything new that you heard over the wire, listening to any podcast yourself?
So a couple interesting things that I saw, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Saturday from ESPN, who does NFL Rewind on Tuesdays, to recap the weekend. He said that his line of the week was the Bears.
Okay.
Bears offensive line was his line of the week.
Because of their running attack.
He just said it was their line of the week. He showed a couple pass plays. He showed a couple running plays, but he said that they were dominant.
The Bears are number one in the NFC in running.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
And
dead last in passing, but hey.
Well, look, when you're dominant on running, right?
That's true. Yep. No.
And
kind of, yeah.
And they've scored more points than Green Bay at this point in the season.
I did see that too, man.
And the last thing is, if you look at this past weekend scores, only 7 teams, maybe 8 teams scored more points than the Bears. They scored more points than the Packers, who have Aaron Rodgers. They scored more points than Tampa Bay, who has Tom Brady. They scored more points than Buffalo, who has Josh Allen.
Katie likes my sweatshirt, by the way. That's sweet
great.
Person. That's a sweet person out there.
Katie, I think you had a hand in that, part of that. So admire
a little bit
there, right?
And then I changed the logo.
Typical.
Yeah.
But look, the point is that they for all the complaints I heard over the last 2 days about Justin Fields and the passing and this offense has to be better, they scored more points than majority of the teams this weekend. And the more he scored more points than Josh Allen.
It was against the Texans, remember? Although the Texans are playing pretty competitively in 3 games.
Well,
they don't have a lot to show for.
Who was it the Dolphins played this week? It was Buffalo, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Miami the week before gave up over 40 points to Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
So to say that, we played the Texans, well,
I'm just trying to put in a little bit in perspective too.
Buffalo played Miami.
The Bears
defense is
listen, I mean, I agree with what you're saying mostly, but the Bears offense, the passing game has got to be better.
Look, I'm not saying that Justin Fields has to be better. Justin Fields definitely has to be better, right?
Yeah, but I agree with you more than I did before based on Fields' performance over the last 3 games. they must continue to run the ball. And hopefully Justin Fields will get some confidence, because pretty soon the defenses are going to collapse and aim for the running game. And hopefully that will give some openings to Justin Fields to have some receivers open. Velus Jones will hopefully be coming back and getting some downfield passing. And maybe that opens up the game a little bit more. And then there will become more consistency between the passing and running game.
I will just bring up one name. Actually, two.
Walter Payton?
No. Jalen Hurts and Tua Tagovailoa, whatever his name is.
From Miami, yes.
Both those guys last couple of years were labeled as terrible. That they were never ever going to develop into NFL quarterbacks.
Yep.
And now both those teams are 3-0. And not just because of other factors, but mainly because of those two players.
So I think that's the exception and not necessarily the rule. It's harder to develop quarterbacks into those kind of players than it is. More often than not, you get more of a flop than you do a successful QB.
But
so I'm hoping you're right. It proves your point. Even Troy Aikman, he was, I think, 1-13 when he
1-15 his first year.
Was his first year? I thought it was his second year, but
first or second year was 1-15.
He wasn't good the first 2 years either.
No.
And there are some other players like that, but
he had Emmitt Smith and Michael Irvin
to throw the ball up to.
Yeah.
That's all you had to do to Michael Irvin. Throw the ball up.
Just toss it up there, right?
Yeah. So, did you see who's on the injury report for the Bears today?
Okay, so I saw.
I don't know if you've had time.
I looked at it briefly. So Roquan was limited in practice, but he was still listed as, I think, probable. But he had limited practice. Velus Jones, like he has the last 3 weeks, was limited in practice. And again, questionable. Those are the only two guys that stood out to me. Did I miss someone else?
I'm going to share with you. These are the players that did not practice today. So Jalen Johnson, Montgomery, Matt Adams, and Dane Cruikshank. I don't know how much Dane Cruikshank, and I don't even know if I'm saying his name. I don't know how much he plays, honestly.
He would play a lot because he played with the Titans last year.
And then here's your limited category, like you said. You've got Roquan, Velus Jones, and Ryan Griffin.
Yeah. Well, Roquan's a good sign because he didn't participate at all last week.
And did you see that Roquan, after 3 weeks, after that amazing game against the Texans, he's leading the league in tackles?
Yeah.
Like barely, but he is.
Yeah. That doesn't surprise me.
Well, I think most people thought he had a subpar game in the second game.
Everybody had a subpar game.
Everybody
had a subpar game.
I would agree with that. So let's look at our next matchup.
Okay.
So we're playing the Giants. The Giants have some injuries too. I think they have a bunch of receivers out. Sterling Shepard is out. I'm not sure.
Which is big for them.
That is big for them. I am pulling up. These are their team stats at the moment. Can you see that decent enough?
I can see it.
I'm hoping other people can see it too.
Oh, I'm sorry. Now I can see it.
Oh, you got to do that. You got to do the angle.
Yeah.
All right. So comparatively, our defenses have allowed about similar amounts of yards per game, but the Giants are scoring more, but barely. 1.4 points a game. You could see, obviously, you see a little disparity in the yards rushing, but the yards passing is a huge eye opener. And yards allowed are very similar.
Mm-hmm.
So, thinking about that with them losing one of their top receivers, they do have a rookie that's probably going to be playing instead of Sterling Shepard. That's supposed to be pretty decent. I forget his name. I was actually trying to pick him up on the waiver wire for our fantasy.
Let me look it up.
Anyway, I'm thinking that the Giants will continue to be more evenly keeled on offense than us, and we are going to run the ball.
I would think so.
Yeah. Their rush yards allowed.
Kadarius Toney's the guy you're thinking of.
Yeah, their rush yards allowed are 138, and we're averaging 186. So I would see the Bears doing a similar game plan as they have the past 3 games with running the ball. 30 something times?
Yeah, but look, keep in mind that some of those runs are unintentional because that's Fields.
Right, Justin Fields. Yeah.
Right. And it's not an intentional run. It just happens that he can't find anyone open and he takes off and runs. Right.
Yeah. And you are starting, I don't know if you've seen this, but you're seeing more and more clips of some of the footage where he's just missing open guys. And I don't know if that's just a fail to read. He's being tentative.
No. Well, part of that is the read. I saw a couple of the videos online. They're like, he had a guy wide open in the flat on the right side. He didn't have a passing lane, right? I mean, he would have had to throw over a guy. He didn't have a clean look at him. The only way he would have been able to throw that guy had he gone to that guy right away, like 1-2 throw.
Yeah, he's not there yet either.
No. So, no. But like, if you look at the play, like, okay, so like, I don't know if you saw the game Sunday night or Monday night, right? The Denver and San Francisco game, and then the Giants and Cowboys on Monday night.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but even with Justin Fields struggling, our offense is better than any 4 of those teams.
Better than the Broncos, better than the Seahawks, yes.
Right. Better than the Niners, better even with Jimmy G, because Jimmy G couldn't hit anybody last week. Better than Russell. Russell Wilson's struggling like crazy.
Russell Wilson's terrible right now.
And then for the same thing with Daniel Jones and who's this Cooper Rush, right?
Cooper Rush.
Give me Justin Fields. As much as he's struggling, or I should say, not exactly playing at his best right now. Yeah. I would still take Justin Fields over any of those 4 because none of those guys can run. I mean, supposedly Russell Wilson can, but he doesn't take off as much as he used to.
No, he hasn't been doing it much at all. I think he rushed like for 14 yards the last game or something.
So it's as much people complain about Justin Fields, right? He put you in a position to at least get points. Whether he's hitting open guys or not, or missing, or whatever the case is.
I don't think he did. I don't think he put them in position. I think the running team did.
And every one of those scoring plays, he made some kind of play where he ran and either got a first down or moved the ball enough so that the next play they could get a first down.
I don't know if that's true, man.
I'm okay. Check the tape.
I'm just saying it just didn't seem like it. I'm not rewatching the tape.
Look, it just feels like it because everybody focuses on the plays that he didn't make right now.
He made some decent plays. He was just his throwing was erratic that game.
But the point being is that everyone seems to remember the plays that he didn't make, and they can't remember the plays that he did make. That's just my point.
I don't know. Okay. So in terms of running the ball for Justin Fields, he had some good runs for first downs. But passing wise, there was not much to be excited about. There was nothing where he was. I think our third down conversions weren't good either, and some of that was our play calling. 3rd and 15, and we ran the ball. But I
can think of 3 specific plays.
Go for it.
The two play completions to Kmet, and then the long completion to Mooney in the 4th quarter.
Yeah, that was a good throw to Mooney. Yeah, that actually was his best throw of the game.
Right, but all three of those plays impacted the game.
Okay. Three passing plays in the whole game. I don't
know. But again, my point being is that he did what he needed to do on the scoring drives, right, to get you guys in position to make the plays. When he doesn't make those plays,
he also threw 2 interceptions, man.
Right.
You're just.
But my point is that
even balanced on your.
No, look, my point being is that when he does make the plays, we score. When he doesn't, we don't. But
that makes sense.
Right, but he made it. He made more than enough plays to score you 23 points. Tom Brady didn't do it. Josh Allen didn't do it. Aaron Rodgers didn't do it this past week.
Okay. Our running game is just really good. They're dominant.
Okay.
All right. And our offensive line, I would agree with you. They've been stellar in the run attack. They've
probably been better in the passing game because it's just not showing because Justin isn't making the throws.
I don't know. I mean, according to stats, he's still being rushed. Rushed in his throwing 40-something%. So that's not great either. I think this team is better, obviously, at rush than the pass right now.
But look, part of that is misleading also because Justin hangs onto the ball too long.
I know. So I mean, there's pros and cons right now, but there's more cons to Justin Fields' play than there are pros. Absolutely, man. You have to be.
Agree with that.
You literally have to be dreaming to think that. I'm telling you, you wear these rose-colored glasses, which is so positive as a Chicago fan. But you are totally right about the rushing attack. The Bears need to run the ball until it doesn't work, and hopefully that opens the field for QB1.
Okay, I'm just looking up the offensive line rankings right now. It's just give me a second.
I'll give you a second.
Continue. Would you want to talk about something else while I'm looking this up?
Yeah, I was gonna. You know what? Actually, I was gonna talk about the Cubs briefly.
Okay.
Well, I'll touch on it because there's been a lot of news about Wilson Contreras again. Wilson Contreras made some statements. He's kind of coming back from injury, but was basically saying he's looking forward to free agency. But he made comments like when they were asking him questions, where do you see yourself going? He did say, I've got some teams on my mind, but I just want to be at a place where they value my play and what I do on the field. And that sounded like someone who's definitely not coming back to Chicago. I don't think the Cubs are going to be signing Wilson Contreras, and us Cubby fans have got to get used to the fact that bye-bye, Willie.
So do you think that even if they made an offer to him, he's still not coming back?
I don't think they're going to make a fair offer for what he's worth, and he won't come back.
That's not what I asked.
They're not going to make him an offer. How about that?
Okay, that's what I'm asking.
I don't think they're going to make him an offer.
Okay. Do you think that's a mistake?
Done. I do. I don't think they've got a replacement that can do what Wilson does, and I don't see what's wrong with paying the guy what he deserves for 3 years, helping out a young pitching staff, and then after 3 years, hopefully you've got a catcher to develop and move into his place. I think that's what they should do. But they must know their pocket and what they're going for, which is, I hear Carlos Correa is possibly a target that he's going to opt out of Minnesota.
So if you're Carlos Correa, knowing how they treated Wilson Contreras, would you sign?
Yeah. Well, I guess Marcus Stroman is talking to quite a few. It's at least out there that Marcus Stroman's doing some recruiting right now. Yeah, and he's actually pitched. He's got a 3.64 ERA right now, and over his last 17 starts, I think he's like 2.7. He started off terrible, but I don't know. We'll see. The Cubs are going to get some free agent signings this year. Now, on the other hand, your Sox team, I've even heard some reports that no one is untouchable on that Sox team.
I would agree with that.
And that maybe they could even get some good value off of trade for like Vaughn.
Look, the first question you have to answer is, what do you do with Jose?
Abreu, yeah.
If you bring back Jose, then you have other decisions you have to make. Do you basically then make Vaughn an outfielder for one more year or whatever length of time you sign Abreu? Or do you bring Abreu back saying, like, look, we know you want to play first base, but you're going to split time at first base? Because he is getting into that phase of career. Look, he's still a solid first baseman. He's still a decent hitter. He's not like, he's still productive on both defense and offensive side. Right?
Who would you like to see the Sox move away from completely on the team right now? Or is it kind of hard to answer?
I think it's time to move away from Moncada at third base. He just hasn't been healthy over the last couple of years. And then the other guy, and it may not be a popular answer, but if you could get some trade value for Tim Anderson, I think you have to look at trading Tim Anderson.
Yeah.
Because if I know I got Elvis Andrus, who seemed to be just as productive, won't cost you as much money. He's definitely a better defensive shortstop, even though he's much older than Anderson. I think that might be worth exploring, because you can have Jake Berger play third when he comes back healthy. Second baseman is always going to be an issue right now, because we just haven't had a solid second baseman. I think anyone in the infield really is kind of right. Storm, I'm not saying is the answer. Thanks for checking in, by the way. I'm not saying is the answer, but look, if you could get some trade value, I think for Tim Anderson, I think it's something you have to at least explore. I think it's time to move away from Moncada for sure.
Now Andrews, I think I don't know how old he is, but he's been in the league since like 2009.
Yeah, he's an older player for sure.
He is. He you know what? I'm shocked. I didn't know he's almost close to 2,000 hits for his career. I would have known. I would have not known that for Elvis Andrus.
Look, I'm willing to hang on to Robert and give him another chance, and I think Big Baby's got to stay healthy for at least one season. Like, I'm willing to give him another season too, right? Eloy, I'm willing to give another season. Robert, I'm giving another season. I'm willing to give Sheets another season, and same thing with Vaughn. We're going to have
what about some of their pitching?
Well, the way I look at it right now, Cease is your number one next year.
Absolutely, man.
If you can get Giolito on the cheap, maybe I'd consider bringing him back, but I would almost rather spend that money. Maybe trying to go back and get Rodon back, spend the money on him to get him back. I'd be willing to spend some money to get Cueto back. Lance Lynn will be in the last year of his contract next year, so maybe if you could get some trade value for him, maybe. Kopech, I'm willing to hang on to and give him a shot. But right now, I would think it's Cease, Kopech, Lynn, but unless you can trade him and get something for him. And then
okay, so beyond the GM having to work some magic there, which I'm not very confident of the White Sox GM to do that. What do you see them doing since La Russa's not coming back for this current year? What do you see the Sox doing for the coach next year?
What I would like them to do is to bring back Miguel Cairo.
You want him to be the head coach?
I think he deserves at least a shot at the manager, especially if you if you don't make a lot of moves and you try to retain most of the team and you don't make a lot of movement, I think Cairo's the guy because they played better under Cairo.
They did, although they've lost the last 7 games.
Well, because once they were out of it, once they lost that series to Cleveland,
they just gave up.
My pipe dream would be to get Pierzynski in as manager, and I know that's not a popular decision, but I think you need to try something different, right? We tried the La Russa thing, that didn't work.
Not at all, man. The guy's falling asleep.
Right?
He did, yeah.
I just think you have to try, and catchers have proven to be really good managers.
Absolutely. Joe Torre, Joe Girardi.
And if nothing else, Pierzynski knows, kind of like how it was with Ozzie when he managed in 2005. Ozzie knew what it meant to wear that uniform, and he knew how important it was to the Sox fans and the Southsiders, right? I think Pierzynski would bring that kind of fire. Look, my pipe dream, and again, maybe this is just too much being of a Sox homer or a Sox fan. Like, I would love to see him bring back some guy like Aaron Rowan as a bench coach or as a fielding instructor, right? I don't think he'll bring back Burley, but maybe someone like a Konerko, or, not necessarily all former Sox players, right?
Yeah.
But
I mean, you kind of like this. I mean, I think most sports fans would like to see some of their former heroes come back. It kind of gives this aura around the club, that they had success in the city. They look up to the former players too. But I agree with you. I think AJ Pierzynski is the kind of attitude. I don't know. He's kind of in a more of aggressive kind of mindset. I think that's what the Sox need.
Yeah, and I don't think Pierzynski is the type of guy, like, he's not like Ross where he's going to try to develop guys. Like, he's not that kind of patient type of guy. He's the kind of guy, like, look, he wants to win every single game, right? And he doesn't care who you are. He doesn't care, whether you're a rookie or a veteran. He expects you to go out there and do your job.
That's right, man. They need the intensity.
Yeah.
Intensity.
That would be
which is a great segue.
But the one guy I hope...
I just said it's a segue.
Well, before you do that, the one guy I hope they really don't hire or they don't even look at is Girardi.
Okay.
That's just my
All right. They're going to get Don Mattingly instead.
Sure. All right, so we're going to run We're going to run to another topic.
Yeah, because I was talking about the intensity. You know who that is?
No.
Come on, man. Norm Van Leer. Storm and Norm.
Well, you didn't say it like Storm and Norm, but let's go with the Bulls.
I can't say it like him. So, exciting media day. There were a lot of interviews. We saw Goran Dragic have to answer the dreaded question about being dunked on. That was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Goran Dragic was saying that that's the only time he's got dunked on like that in the NBA, and it was towards the start of his career. I kind of find that shocking. I have a feeling he's been dunked on more than just that once.
Not like that.
No, never like that, man.
Like that.
But what are your initial thoughts on any of the media coming out, any of the stories that you've heard?
Look, if nothing else, just from what I saw of the media day, and I watched a lot of the interviews and a lot of the sessions, I think if nothing else, just the energies, it's a good energy. I'll just say that. Like everyone feels like they came back. The sense I get, everyone feels like they came back stronger. Are they missing Lonzo? Yes. Right. But every single player on there worked over the summer, and every single player on that team thinks that they're better. And because everyone else got better, they think they're better as a team.
See that quote by Kendrick Perkins? Did you see that?
Yeah.
So what do you think about that?
It's the same thing as last year.
Yeah? Do you think it's the same?
everyone said last year we were a playing team last year.
That is correct.
Before COVID hit and before Lonzo and some of the injuries hit, we were the number 1 team in the East.
Yeah, we didn't believe that they were a playing team. We thought they were going to make the playoffs, both of us.
Yes, and they did.
Yes, and I still believe that they're going to make the playoffs. I am not sure if they're that between that 4 and 6 seed spot, though. So I could see them being a 6 or 7. Unless 2 really strong things happen. Io can be a true point guard and develop. He's gained 7 pounds of muscle over the summer. And, of course, everybody keeps on saying it. The obvious elephant in the room is P-Dubs. How is he going to progress? So, to me, those are 2 of the most important guys in order to be in that 6 seed spot.
Okay.
But I could keep on going on. I mean, there's so much more that the Bulls need. They need to have a better cohesive defensive unit as a team. They need to play better help defense. Their perimeter guys need to seal off better so that they're not putting Vooch and whoever's playing number 4 in bad positions. And we've got to rebound the ball better.
Okay.
Those are my keys for the Bulls being 6th or better in the seed.
Okay.
How about you, Coach?
I think they're a top 4 team.
Okay, tell me why. Why do you feel that even with Lonzo hurt?
Zach's completely healthy. And I think Zach is going to be better, not just on the offensive side, but on the defensive side also, because I think he was reserving his energy and his plays last year just because he was hurt. And I think now that he's got this contract out of the way and he knows that Lonzo's going to be out for a while, I think he feels like the ownership, like the leader of this team.
I hope
is his
so,
team
man.
now, right?
I hope he turns into that number 1.
So I think he's going to be that alpha. That's the first reason, right? 2, even without Lonzo right now, I think overall, I'll get to that in a second, Storm.
Top 4 in turnovers, Storm.
I think they are overall a better defensive team overall, because I think Patrick Williams being on the floor full season
that helps
will make a huge
yeah. difference.
I think Andre Drummond on the back end instead of Tony Bradley is going to be a huge thing for the second team. And Io having another year under his belt also, I think is going to be huge. I think you're not going to completely replace Lonzo on the defensive side, but I think Io's going to surprise some people from the defensive side, and I think he's going to make some plays. So, look, and the third part of it is just from running it back for another year and having that chemistry. I think they're going to be better offensively. Right.
You know what? I think that remains to be seen. I think it's based on Donovan's rotations, ball movement, and people not relying on a fadeaway all the time.
So, Storm, I would say right now, I don't agree with Brooklyn. Do they have KD? Yes. Do they have Kyrie? Yes. But I think overall the rest of the roster got weaker. Look, if Kyrie and KD score 60, 70 points a night, that's great. But they're going to give up a lot of points. And I don't know where, like that third or fourth score is going to come from. So, yeah, that's fine, Storm. I get it. But, everyone said the same thing about Brooklyn last year.
Honestly, I thought they were a title contender last year.
Yeah. So I don't think, and I also think,
but they had a lot of injuries as well.
I also think that the Udoka controversy that's going on in Boston, I think that's going to affect them. And I honestly think that it's you could tell already, like just in their media day, they got affected. Losing Gallinari for the whole season. Mm-hmm. They were counting on him. And I still think this dynamic between Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, there's something there. Like it's almost like a Scotty Michael type thing. Like when they're on the court and they're playing together and things are going great. Like, I think it's great. It works together, but I don't think that. I think there's still something there. Like I wouldn't be surprised if things don't go well this year and they're struggling and they become sellers. I wouldn't be surprised to see one of those two guys move. Probably more Jaylen Brown than Jason Tatum, but I wouldn't be surprised, or I wouldn't even be surprised to see him move Marcus Smart either. But I just think this whole controversy with them is going to hurt them.
You know what? The one thing with Boston last year, they did not look. I mean, they weren't a good team the first half.
Right?
They weren't. They looked beatable. So they had a lot of dysfunction in there, and they somehow started gelling together. So if they continue, if that's what you say you think is happening, they may revert to that first half of the season. But they've got so much talent on that team. I still see them being as top 3 in our conference.
So look, Storm, I'll go to this statement, right? This is the same thing that people were complaining about the Bulls last year, that they don't have size, they don't have interior defense. Those guys have to play in Boston. I'm pretty sure they play the Sixers at least 4, maybe 5 times. They play the Heat at least 4 times, right? The Knicks and Cleveland, right? All those teams have pretty good size.
They do.
Inside, right? And they can match up offensively with those teams. So, yeah, look, time will tell, right? But again, like I didn't think Brooklyn was that good last year, and the whole Kyrie thing, helped kind of prove that out, right? And I think Katie is the type of guy that's going to get frustrated really easily. We already know he doesn't want to be there.
Yeah, I mean, if they were to make it to the postseason, I wouldn't. I don't doubt Durant in the postseason, though.
Look, I'll say this, Storm. If Brooklyn finishes in the top 2 in the East,
I'd be surprised.
I'm just saying, if they finish in the top 2 in the East, which
to me they're 4 or 5.
Okay, but Storm thinks they're one of the top 4 teams, right? If they finish in the top 2 in the East, then I think they're a title contender, because KD then will be motivated, right? But I think it'll be a struggle for them to finish in the top 4, especially if things start to go south like it did last year. They lose maybe 2 or 3 in a row.
They're going to become
de-interested really fast.
Correct. They're going to be uninterested. Even though KD can become disinterested, honestly, top 2, no. Top 5, yes, I would agree.
I'm just saying, if they happen to finish in the top 2.
If they did, I think you can't underestimate Kevin Durant. He can take over a game easily on his own.
Absolutely.
He doesn't need a whole heck of a lot. I mean, imagine being how is he 7 foot? And having the talent he does.
He has like 7'1".
Yeah, I mean, that's just uncanny, man. He can shoot over anybody. But going back to the Bulls, you think 4. I could see 4, but only if everything's clicking. Everything is, I mean, the Bulls often, I mean, if their defense improves, great. But their offense could not remain stagnant like it did last year, or else it's going to be the same story.
Look, again, I'm basing it on the fact that they brought pretty much everybody back.
They're running it back, baby.
Everybody kind of knows how to run this offense now. Minus Lonzo, everybody's healthy.
Hopefully it's not.
And you have
ISO ball again.
And you have Io, who's got a year under his belt, and you bought in Dragic. So I think they're overall, just in my opinion anyway, like it seemed like every single one of those guys had a mission to get better in the offseason. Now, I didn't follow the other teams as closely as I did the Bulls, right? But I don't think I could. I saw any of that. Maybe from Cleveland, where everybody worked hard to get a little bit better. Maybe Atlanta, but you don't hear stories about Jimmy Buckets or Kyle Lowry, playing in these leagues in the summer, or pulling the team together to work out like these guys did.
Because they already have a culture that's intense. They don't need that, man. Those two guys are getting old already. You know what? They will be fine. Miami's still going to be a tough team to beat because their defense is just amazing.
Oh, look, they lost PJ Tucker.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know who they got to replace PJ Tucker, but PJ Tucker was the Miami game we saw. He played a pretty good game against us.
They got Max Strauss from DePaul. You can't compete
and
with
Stagg High School, by the way.
You can't compete with Max Strauss.
He went to Stagg High School also.
We could have used him on the Bulls. I would say Strauss.
So, just look, you asked me the question, right? I think they're a top 4.
All right. I say 6. 6 or 7. I'll stick with 6 for now.
Can you believe preseason basketball starts next week?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's going to be exciting.
It'll be great because then we're back to our old routine where we got basketball during the week and then we got the Bears on the weekend.
I know he was a Bull, Storm. That's actually one of the guys that the Bulls should have given a little bit more of a chance. But I think he blew out his knee that year. And then he signed with Miami, if I'm not incorrect. But I'm pretty sure he blew out his knee, and then we cut him.
If I had to say right now who I think the top 4 are in the East, I would say Philadelphia, the Bulls. I'll go with Milwaukee. I'll go with Miami.
Uh-huh.
And the other surprise team I would go with is Cleveland.
Not yet. Okay, so I would say Philly, Miami, Boston, and Milwaukee.
Okay, so you're kind of along the line of the Storm.
Yeah,
so you don't think Brooklyn's a top 4 team either.
I said 5. No, actually I said 4. I did say 4. Yeah. That's tough, man. Yeah. The East is
stacked.
It is stacked. So I mean, we can go to most games against the Eastern Conference. It's going to be fun.
Yeah,
it's going to be a good year to watch basketball.
And 3 teams we didn't even talk about, right? Detroit's got a good young team. You and I like Detroit with the young team that they got.
I do like what they've been doing. Yeah.
Right.
Toronto is always bringing it.
Yeah, and I like
coached.
I like the young team that they have in Orlando, and we didn't even mention Atlanta.
No, we did. Storm did. So yeah, Atlanta. You know what? It's kind of weird. I thought Atlanta should have been much better last year, and they weren't. I mean, coming off the year they had prior, I was a little surprised how poor they did last year.
Yeah, but with some of their DeJounte Murray is huge.
Correct. With some of the pickups that they made, that team should be good, but I don't know. Defensively, I mean, they give up a lot of points. Io is a Trae Young stopper.
Yeah, he was able to play him.
He played really good. I would take in a one-on-one with the Bulls. I think the Bulls have an advantage over Atlanta. But I think ultimately, I think Atlanta could actually beat us in a series.
Did you post that poll? Did I see a poll on Twitter where someone was asking who they think the starting point guard should be with Lonzo out? Did you post that? Or did
I did not post that, but okay. I retweeted it.
Oh. How did you answer that question?
I did say Ayo.
Dexter, thanks for checking in, man.
I agree with Dexter. Oh, I don't. Boston and Miami will slide past 4 or 5 seed.
No, he thinks that we could be a 4 or 5 with Miami or Boston sliding down a little bit.
Down what, like 2-3?
No, like outside, making room so that the Bulls could be a 4 or 5.
That's what I said the first time. That's why I was confused. I don't see that, but a healthy Bulls team. We're talking Lonzo to me being healthy. If Lonzo was healthy, I would agree with Carl and say they're 4. I'm kind of uneasy about how like the ISO ball. I'm really worried about that our offense is going to be stagnant. We're going to end up taking DeMar's going to end up taking these shots off of 1 foot.
He makes them.
Yeah, but the second half he wasn't making them as good as he was in the first half. So I don't think Dragic should start. Honestly, I think Io should start and Dragic should come off the bench along with P-Dubs and put Andre Drummond at 4 and 5. I still want that. I know it's not going to happen. I think Patrick Williams would be a stud on the second unit, and Dragic will help be a consistent offensive player on that team. That's those my thoughts.
I think it should be Io too.
So I know Storm.
Look, we'll know. We'll know next week.
It's not 1994.
We'll know next week, right? I mean, it's not going to be the full one because not everyone's going to play that first game or even most of the preseason, right? I mean,
it's more like 2004 Storm. 1994, buddy.
Well, we'll see. Do you think Antetokounmpo makes the roster?
He shouldn't.
Like if you look at the 20, if you look at the 20 guys on that roster, right?
Mm-hmm.
They can sign 2 guys to 2-way contracts, 3 guys they'd have to cut because you can only have 15 on the active roster. Right?
Yeah, P-Dubs is going to – yes, absolutely. We said that. If P-Dubs is scoring 14 and having 7 rebounds a game, I'm going to stick to it. And Io increases his production, the Bulls will be tough. And maybe they will be number 4.
So, look, if Io's better on the defensive side, but he's not scoring as many points, but his assists are higher.
Yes. No, that's key. If his assists are higher – then hopefully he's penetrating the middle and dishing the ball to people who are open, or people are actually making basket cuts.
Yeah.
Yes, that would drive the Bulls' offense.
Do you think he could be like the reverse of like Luke Longley and like Bill Cartwright, where like he starts the game, but he's not going to be the guy to finish the game?
Who?
Io.
Yeah, probably not. But you know what? I think wasn't Donovan playing him towards the end
for defensive purposes?
Yeah.
You know, when we needed someone on the defense, so yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so like we talked about this before. Like, who's the 5 you need to finish the game with? We did say Dragic. Right. So you're going with Zach, DeMar, P. Will, Vooch, or Drummond in that final 5. It can't be Drummond because he's terrible.
You can't put Drummond in. You're right. We talked about this before. Drummond can't hit free throws. Dragic, I don't know. I think it really depends on the matchup, but I think those would be your main key guys, those 5 guys.
What if you went with a lineup like Zach, DeMar, Patrick Williams, AC, and Dragic to close the game?
Who's our number 4? P-Dubs?
Your 4, no, P-Dubs would be playing your 5. Your 4 would basically be DeMar or Zach.
Ooh, I don't know about that defensively, man, to close a game. That sounds a little bit scary.
Even with a healthy Zach?
Well, okay, so if Zach actually plays consistently good, intense defense and stays in front of people instead of just trying to reach around the ball and get the steal, yeah, no.
I think Billy's going to have to get creative with his closing lineups. Just my.
But I do. You know what I did like is when we had DJJ at 4 with Vooch. I mean, defensively.
What about Javante?
Javante's another good choice, and when we were talking to Chuck Swirsky, he was saying that was his guy
In the closer.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the closer, he's talking about how he's got some really good offensive skills that he truly doesn't show on the court. He's got, and then I think in the second half we did see Javante starting to shoot some threes, and a couple of us were like, "Why doesn't he shoot the ball more often? He's got a pretty shot from the outside." So I don't know. I mean, they've got some options, but we'll see who's going to be the person to sit out.
Vooch.
No, I'm not. I'm talking about on the bench. Who's not in this rotation at all?
Kobe White.
Kobe White's the odd man out.
Kobe White and
Dalen
Terry.
Dalen Terry to me is the odd man out.
And Marco, I guess.
Marco would be out. I don't think it's anybody else sees playing time, honestly.
So last question I'm going to ask you is, do you think they play Antetokounmpo ahead of Marco?
Simonovic?
Do you make that deal if you think Marco's going to be actually a guy that's going to help you?
It's a good question. They're two different players. And I don't think so. I don't think he helps. I mean, all he did was play No, I think all he did was play garbage minutes for the Bucks. He might be once in a while you would have a good game. I don't think he's a very good player.
He didn't play with the Bucks last year, did he? He was with the Lakers.
I think of the other brother.
No. Thanos is the guy that played with Milwaukee. He's still with Milwaukee.
If I could spell his name.
Storm, thanks for hanging. Storm, thanks for hanging in because you're not liking anything we say tonight. So, thanks for hanging in with us.
What do you say?
He's like, no. Yeah, I remember that too when they wanted.
Yeah, I did not.
Start of Vooch.
I did not want that at all.
No,
not one bit. Thompson just was.
Costas was with the Lakers.
Yeah.
So.
I don't see how he helps a whole lot. So.
All right. Well, this is a pretty long, lengthy, windy.
It was
Wildcard Wednesday tonight, but there's a lot to talk about. I have a feeling these Wednesdays for the next couple of weeks are going to be pretty good. So thanks everyone for tuning in tonight. We do appreciate it. A lot of Bears, a lot of Bulls talk, baseball winding down. We do appreciate everyone checking in, tuning in. If you haven't had a chance to hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the bell, get notified in future episodes. We will see you guys in the next video. Take care. Peace.
Love
and digits.